Welcome to Day 5 of the Alltech FEI World Equestrian Games. World-class sport is well underway, and on FEI TV today, we bring you live coverage of 4 disciplines. It's the first day of the eventing dressage, the 160-kilometre endurance ride that started at 7 AM this morning. And today is the culmination of 3 grades at the para-dressage, and we bring you the final individual qualifying competition from the reigning stadium. In the studio on Chez, we start by introducing the US dressage team, and later in the programme we'll be joined by Olympic dressage medalist Her Serene Highness Nathalie Sayn-Wittgenstein and 16-year-old US para-rider Sydney Collier with her faithful dog Journey. Well, let's turn to the US dressage team, or part of them. We've got more to come. First of all, well done yesterday to all of you. Robert, your job as chef de keep is making sure everyone's in the right place at the right time. But in terms of performance, are you happy with these guys?
Oh, I am overwhelmed by these riders and their horses. And I think that, yeah, we came in with so many people around the world thinking that maybe the best we could do would be 7th, 8th, and they ended up 4th as a team, and which just proves that we're on our way up back to the medals and podiums and hopefully, and I believe one day, to the top one.
Stefan, you've been I was going to say you've been around a while. I didn't mean that rudely.
It's true though.
What is thank you. Performances in teams always tends to go a bit like a wave. You have your peaks and then you get a bit of a low. How do you feel things are panning out at the moment?
First of all, the numbers speak for themselves. We had for the team a 72, a 74, and a 75. That's absolutely incredible, and I'm not sure if that ever had happened in the US history. So very, very excited about that, and I've said it many times that it is neat to get inspired by all the top horses in the world, but to get inspired by your teammates, that's even better. And that's exactly what happened in Aachen, and that happened even more during the team competition in the Grand Prix, and especially yesterday when Laura was ahead of me.
Laura, I want to just ask you, first of all, there's going to be people watching the programme who've said, well, I don't know much about this young lady. I mean, do you mind if I call you a rookie? Because
I'm used to it by now. Yeah, I'm used to it.
Okay, let's just ask, where have you come from out of the woodwork, just like that?
I think it maybe seems that way. I feel like I've been working at this my whole life. It just takes that long sometimes before people notice.
Yeah, and you know the thing is too, with Laura, she has been working her whole life. She had this horse since it was a baby, and has brought this horse along herself. And fortunately, we got to see her, and immediately Debbie saw her and said, hey, Robert, there's this rider and horse that you have to see. And then we were standing together at one of your Grand Prix. What was that, in January or February?
It was a national in January.
In January.
And this year, we should point out.
This
yes,
year.
It's the first year.
And so Debbie said, watch this. So we're watching together. And she came out of the ring and I said, come over here. And so
it was a right timing sort of thing, and all the right people helping me at the right time. But it takes a while for things to really start working, and just before we came over here to Europe, things really started working, and they're getting better all the time.
So that's all happened in 2014 for you, Laura. So last year, let's go back a year, or go back to last summer. Did you think to yourself, I wonder if I could get to the games in France?
I wanted to.
Did you?
I did. It's something, I mean, I've been thinking about this for a couple of years, since my horse was doing small tour. I think you have to set really high goals to keep yourself motivated. I think you have to be realistic, but why wouldn't you try?
Yeah, sure.
Laura's fearless and fierce. That's what, and which is what Stefan is, and it's what I think the greats in any sport, probably any art, in business or whatever, they have that as a common thread. And this is what Charlotte Desjardins obviously is like. So when you say to Laura, do you think you could do this maybe? She says, of course. I'm going there to win. I'm not going there to take part, which is our feeling from America, right? We're not here to take part.
No.
We're here to try to win and move ourselves up.
And Stefan, you've, as I mentioned at the beginning, that you've obviously been on the team for a considerable length of time now and been very, very successful, flown the flag for the US for many, many years. Is the drive and all this will still burning inside you?
Yes, absolutely. I've been honored to be the anchor rider since 2006. And I wouldn't mind passing the flag to Laura one of these days. It's always that pressure. But listen, I'm still hungry every single time I get to compete. I'm so grateful that Kiko and Jerry provide me with just amazing horses. And there's even a few more young horses in the pipeline. So there's still a lot of desire to support my team and hopefully get us back on the medal podium.
And Robert, as a movement, the sport of dressage, is that on the rise in the US? Is it? And I know it's a huge sport over there, but is it an increasingly popular sport?
Absolutely, dressage is the fastest growing equestrian sport in America, and has been for quite a long time. And we are a country that in anything that we take part in, we have this huge desire to be at the top of it. I think that's just sort of an American theme.
If it's very popular, that must mean there's a lot of very good riders across the US who want to be in these teams. I guess your job is then, or whoever the selection committee are, is a very, very difficult
Thank goodness there is a selection committee, a high performance committee, and there's a great deal of thought that goes into creating a world-class machine that starts with the youngest of our children and goes all the way through the elite division.
Sure.
And that is even being revamped this year to bring it to an even higher level. Naturally, that requires a great deal of funding, and so we're trying to increase that as well.
Stefan, so you alluded to, no, in fact, it was Robert that alluded to about the team spirit amongst the US, which is vital to get a good performance. Now, you've participated at this level both as an individual and as a team member over the years. Is there a different mental approach when you arrive at a venue like Chez here at a World Championships as a member of a team, as opposed to you being on your own as an individual? Do you have a different application?
There's no doubt that I always enjoy competing as a team. I said many times, if I come to a major championship like the Olympic Games, the World Games, honestly, to me, 85 to 90% is the team competition, and to have a fun team behind you, a team that's bonding, a team that you can count on is an incredible feeling. The individual part is fun too. And yesterday it was great because I was in the start list. I was right behind Laura. So Laura came out, I came through the tunnel, and there was a quick high five going into the ring. Brilliant. And I think those things really show it's not just a fake bond. It's a true family deal here, and that makes it so much more special to compete together.
Laura, because you've not been at this level for a very long time, and you've now stamped your authority, there's no doubt about that, but riding out into an arena like here, I mean, you're looking very chilled and cool, I have to say, this morning. But are you that chilled and cool?
She actually is, if I may say. I mean, I've expected since Gladstone, at one point, she's got to get a little nervous, and we got to see sometimes that she might get a little stressed, and it just never happens. It is absolutely incredible.
So when you rode into the arena a couple of days ago, I know you've got to focus on what your job is being there. Right. But does the single little split-second thought, wow, I can't quite believe I'm actually here?
Of course it does. I think I was nervous on Tuesday, which was a feeling that was really foreign to me because I didn't really know what nerves were, and I kept saying, I have an upset stomach, I have an upset stomach. And Robert said, you're just nervous. I said, I'm not nervous. He said, no, that feeling in your stomach.
That's what that is.
Those are nerves.
But I said, just go with it. Because you know what? I don't think you can go to something like this without feeling that. But the people that are great competitors feel that feeling and then go, okay, I'll use that in a positive way. It's not going to affect me negatively. And the people that feel that and then wilt, that's a whole different thing. You don't see them very much longer.
But I think also going into that stadium, I at least have to take a moment to disconnect and just focus on the arena and really try to ignore the pressure and all the people who are watching. And I try to get my horse in that same mindset.
Oh, which you did a beautiful job with, both of you. And remember the last words I said, remember, it's just another sandbox.
Yeah.
Just another sandbox, right? Same test.
And talking about just another sandbox, Stefan, in terms of being here in Normandy, it's a great arena, it seems, out there. I mean, do the crowds affect you at all?
Absolutely, but positively, because I wasn't even in the arena. I was still in the tunnel, and I heard this loud noise, this clapping and this cheering, and I thought it was for the other rider. Maybe there was still somebody in the ring, but it was for Legolas and myself, and that is exciting. You know, even at a country where where we're foreigners, but the support was absolutely fantastic.
So, Robert, what's left for you? What's your job here now for the next few days?
He's not allowed to quit.
That's on television.
Well, the first thing is that we are going to have a nice afternoon. I still have another meeting. We have a meeting actually of stakeholders, and then they have their sound check. And then we're going to have a nice day and I think go to Omaha Beach, some of us, and actually become like tourists and deflate just a little bit from that high intensity. And then we're going to, go for it again tomorrow. And we have these two in the freestyle, and they have amazing, amazing freestyles. You don't get any more difficult than what they're going to do. And the music is terrific, the horses are great, and the riders are great. So we're going to see what we can do in this last test. And
your routines in the freestyle, I presume, Laura, yours is one that's obviously quite new to you because you're quite new to this level. But is it so? How many times have you done it? Your routine?
This will be the first time tomorrow.
Great.
And you practiced it twice at home?
Yeah, no, I've been practicing it at home, but we've been changing little things to try to keep up with the difficulty that the other riders are bringing. So we're just trying to stay competitive and show them what we've got.
What about yours, Stefan? Have you got a similar routine to previously?
Yes, it's quite similar. The good thing is the scores were 80%, right around 80%. So I don't believe changing anything in the last minute and trying to be the hero and then screwing things up. So we are going to stick with the same exact routine, same choreography. I love the music. Those are songs I would take with me anywhere. That's my favorite songs. Songs I would, play anytime. And hopefully it'll be just as good as it's been.
And actually, having songs that you like, I hadn't even thought about that. Having songs that you like must make a huge difference to you. Does it make it? I'm not going to say it makes it easier. That would be too flippant. But it must make it, I don't know, more comfortable or something, more enjoyable.
Definitely more enjoyable, and I think Legolas knows it too. I play it tons of times at home in the barn. I think he has a pretty good idea what the music is all about. And it starts out with David Bowie's and Freddie Mercury's Under Pressure, and I think that really says a lot.
And over the years, since the dressage music, the Chez has sort of really, I think it's built up in popularity so much because, let's be honest, it's probably the nicest viewing part of dressage to do. Have you found that the technicality of dressage music has increased? I mean, you've got choreographers now and things like that, but go back 20 years, it was a bit different, wasn't it?
Well, let's see. Can we go back 20 years? Yes, we can. But I think that in the mid-'80s, around 86, 87, things changed very greatly from what the kind of music that they had started with, which was a lot of pa and things like that, to some very fun music that Americans actually brought over and rode to and began to change the mood of the freestyle. And I think that these guys have just great music. And I think for a rider, if you don't have music that makes the hair stand up somehow on your arms, then you can't have that kind of emotion. That's what they're doing. They're expressing through the medium of a horse an art. and the feeling that comes with it. And if they don't feel it from their own music, they're not going to make anybody else feel it.
Absolutely.
So it's showbiz.
As I often hear riders say, they'd like to feel that the judges are tapping their feet, or the judges are involved with the music. Well, I know that Laura and Stefan, I know that you've got to get off and get on some work. Robert, you're going to stay with us for a minute because we've got Adrian coming to join us. So I'm going to say goodbye to you guys. I've just got to do one other thing. The Sienna today is down at the Endurance at Sayn-Wittgenstein, where it's very, very wet underfoot. So yesterday, I know she had to go over to the village to get kitted out.
Hi Phil, I'm outside the raining, but I've had way too much of that. I'm a girl and it's time for some retail therapy. Wow, I genuinely love this top. That is beautiful. I'm in love, I really miss my horse. Oh, I do love my bling. Now this shop looks pretty cool. Norman! Bonjour, Norman. Anyone for a hat? As you can see, a massive variety of shops here. FEI Pavilion is over there. However, I am in desperate need for some decent footwear. Oh, now this is rather smart. What do you think, Phil? Now these, I think, are stunning. I'm all kitted out now. Bring on the endurance.
Well, Sienna's certainly prepared for her day at Sayn-Wittgenstein, where I understand it has been raining most of the day so far. Well, I'm now very pleased to welcome into the studio another member of the US Dressage Squad. Adrian, thank you very much indeed for taking the time to come and see us. Robert, you've got a great squad here, but 2 young ladies in the team.
I love that too. And in the squad, we had 3 of the riders who were under 30, a 25-year-old, a 27-year-old, a 29-year-old. I love seeing the up-and-coming riders that are advancing in America.
Adrian, I find it very interesting that your path to, well, let's talk about London Olympic Games. I mean, your path to the Olympic Games in London, your first major, that must have been a very awesome experience for you.
That was an amazing experience. I mean, my lifelong dream, that and now to be here at the World Equestrian Games are just 2 things that I've wanted to do ever since I was riding ponies when I was a kid.
And I think it's very interesting to hear about your path to this particular position, because you went to Debbie McDonald. Tell us how all that happened.
I came to Debbie McDonald in her home base of Idaho 9 years ago. I'd known my whole life that I really wanted to, work with horses my whole life, and I fell in love with dressage at a young age. And I was kind of sitting there thinking, okay, how do I get out of, my little rural area and find someone who can help me do what I want to do? And so I started to get in touch with Debbie through some friends who knew her from the area, and kind of started sending her emails and harassing her a little bit, saying, please, can I come take some lessons? I have a horse, let me come for the summer. And she was very busy competing at that time, but she got back to me and said, yeah, you can come for the summer. I took a couple lessons, and I was offered a working student position there for the summer, so I was able to then keep my horse there and work in exchange for my lessons and training, which I couldn't have afforded otherwise at the time, and so that was a wonderful opportunity. And after a couple months of that, they offered me a full-time job there as an assistant, and helping around the barn, and that just was fortunate enough for me to evolve into a riding position, because it was not supposed to be that at the beginning. And since then, they've been so incredibly supportive of giving me opportunities that I never thought I'd have.
And you're still there?
And I'm still there 9 years later. Yes, I have no intentions of leaving until they kick me out.
Great, so you went straight from there to college. I mean, Robert, that's from you as chef to keep. When you get someone like Adrian arriving on the team, who's been with Debbie McDonald, there's one thing is she's going to be all right. She's going to know how to handle it and everything else.
And that is exactly what Adrian has done for our team. As important as the scores from our anchor rider, Stefan, and then the fabulous rides that Laura has put in so far, I mean, those are hugely important. But without an Adrian who is strong and powerful and cool and under enormous pressure to be that rider that supports the team in our efforts to where we ended up landing, you don't have a chance in this day. You have to have 4 riders that you can count on. And Adrian was just hugely integral to the success of our last week, of this last days.
Adrian, it's interesting because your mother is a world-class downhill skier, in fact represented the US. Did you ever decide, might you have gone down that route?
I think I was supposed to be a skier, according to my parents. That was probably the plan. They did everything they could to get me hooked on it, and I did ski a lot as a child, but it was always like, can we leave yet and go back to the barn and ride my horse? You know, do we have to go again skiing? And so the horses were very much my thing. My family was very supportive, but they are not horse-oriented at all.
No equestrianism at all in your family?
No. I mean, we had a couple horses on the farm that were more like ranch horses. That.
Okay. So where did that come from in you then? Where did the horse thing come from?
I have no idea, but as long as I can remember, and I also have a cousin who competes at the FEI levels in eventing, also from a non-horsey family, so I don't know what happened to us.
Wow. Robert, from your perspective, we've talked about a little bit about your role as chef de keep. Seeing these young riders come through, do you see a difference in the way riders are produced these days from, way back when you were, because you competed at a lot of Olympics?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Absolutely. Well, it's completely different. We, in the time when I started, I remember that there was one West Coast rider who was a young lady who had competed to Grand Prix named Laurie Falvo, now Laurie Falvo Doyle, and myself on the East Coast. There was no funding. I was so fortunate that at the age of 15, I was seen by our then coach of our team, Colonel Bengt Ljungqvist, and he took me under his wing without my even knowing it. I was being mentored for a future that I had really no clue I was going to have. And nowadays, we are in the process of even creating a stronger machine in America, which will find, nurture, and bring along these young athletes with their horses and ensure that we have a strong amount of depth in the athletes going up the ranks toward the level that Adrian is now at.
I mean, most nations are now finding they've got to have a performance program or something similar to be able to achieve results at this level.
Absolutely. Otherwise, it's just up to the luck of having a few people that have great sponsors, and or just having a very lucky situation where a great rider has a great horse and they're found along the way. What we need to do, and what all nations actually understand that they have to do to have sustainable excellence, is create or have these machines that truly work.
Adrian, just sort of on the relaxing part of your role here, have you had a chance to go around the village or have a look around?
I have not yet. I think we're going to try to do a little of that this afternoon now that we have a down day.
Yeah, I think Robert has got a few ideas up his sleeve for this afternoon.
Yeah, hopefully we'll go to see
He always does.
the beach that we stormed, and we attempted to storm again, and they're still trying to storm again now here as in the equestrian world.
Yes.
We've come here to storm Normandy again, and we're doing, I think, quite a good job.
The US team have landed. Okay, well, what about today? Will you ride the horses today?
Not today. He got out this morning, and he had a lunge, and he got to play, and he gets to just be relaxed and happy now for a couple days. He's earned a little break.
The two competing tomorrow have
Yeah,
already
two in
ridden.
the top 15. They've ridden today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Well, the very best of luck. It's been a super week so far for you, and my very best wishes to the other two tomorrow and their horses.
Thank you so much.
And I hope you have a great time, and thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.
Sydney and Nathalie, thank you both very much indeed for joining us on the Chez Philip show, and also a big thank you to Journey. We ought to just introduce Journey, because I think Journey probably won't be able to speak for himself. But Sydney, tell us a little bit about Journey.
Journey is 3 years old. He has been my service dog now for 2 years, and he is actually the only accredited dog here at WAG, and he's quite honored to be the first one and to be paving a path for so many other service dogs down the road, because he's setting a standard.
I think there's 170,000 humans that have been accredited at the World Equestrian Games this year, and just Journey.
Yep, just one dog.
And what does Journey do for you, Sydney? Tell us about your relationship with Journey.
The list of things that he can do for me is so long. He can open and close doors, turns on and off lights, he wears his harness to help me walk, he can find someone if I fall, bark for help. The list just goes on and on. He can even do laundry. And when my mom realized that, she said, maybe I'll send my kids to you for training. And he gives me a lot of freedom that I wouldn't have without him, and a lot of independence.
Brilliant. Nathalie, relationships with animals is obviously very much what you all do as riders because of the horses. And you are in a very, very unusual position because there will not be many riders, in fact there'll be a fraction of 1% that have actually bred their own horse, whether it be dressage or any other discipline, and brought it to this level. And so the journey for you, if you'll excuse the pun, but the journey for you with Digby, that probably almost worthy of a book, I would think, of 17 years to date. Tell us a little bit about it.
I mean, he's a horse we've bred ourselves. I think we bred, out of his mother, we bred 6 other horses, which some were too small. His full sister, who would have been older than him, she would definitely have been a Grand Prix horse, but she died, unfortunately. She got an injury which we couldn't mend. Yeah, but he is a special horse. He may not be the biggest mover in the world, but for me he belongs to the top world horses. There's not many shows that he has let me down because he's not felt right or because he didn't want to do the job. He's been there bang on, 8 championships nearly in a row. Out of 8 he's been 7 times in the final. He is quite something special.
And when did you first identify that? Because it's all very well, no matter what the breeding is of horses, they might, a racehorse might have the best breeding in the world, doesn't mean it's going to run very fast. When did you first identify, you and your mother obviously were talking, you must have said, I think we might have something here.
Yeah, but it first occurred, I mean, as a young horse he wasn't anything spectacular, but he was very trainable, extremely rideable and extremely trainable. And it's first when he started to do all the Grand Prix movements, and I competed his first 2 Grand Prix, where I really thought, like, I think we may have something here, especially in his first 2 Grand Prix he got 9s for Piaffe and Passage.
Wow.
Yeah. Where I really thought, like, maybe this is something. But it first came, I mean, it's always something you feel yourself that you think is brilliant, but it's still the 5 judges there that have to think they like what they see. So it's really first after a couple of Grand Prix where you felt like, okay, the judges do like what they see. Also, if he maybe doesn't have the trot like Vallegro or Damon Hill or whoever, but they did like it. So I kept on training him and trying to make things better. I never tried to change his trot to think he needs more shoulder freedom or we have to get it more spectacular. I worked on it. But I always said, okay, this is his weak point. We have to work with this or live with this weak point. Try to get a little bit more expression in it, but without over-exaggerating everything and then maybe losing something else,
yes.
Or losing his health.
Yes, yes. Sydney, when it comes to training, and Nathalie's been talking about training a horse from day one, basically. What about your horse? Tell us about your horse and that you've got here and the training involved.
Actually, this horse isn't my horse. He's owned by an amazing family, the Dugan family from down in Texas. And for him, he's been amazing for adjusting to me because I actually ride one-handed and my left leg doesn't work to cue. And he has had a couple of other paras on him, but never anything consistent. And he's been so great about adjusting to my body, how I need to cue differently. And you really, to find a great para horse, you need to find a horse that has the heart and the mind that's moldable to adjust however they need to. And he definitely has that heart.
So when did you start the partnership? What's the name of your horse, actually?
Willie West.
Willie West. So when did you start? If it's quite a new partnership, then is it?
Yeah, actually, I've had about 2 months total on him.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Okay. Wow.
Because my horse, he had an unexpected stone bruise, and we didn't want to rush him coming back from that. As you said, you don't want to put the horse's health in jeopardy just for a competition. And so I'm basically borrowing a horse at WAG, and he's been amazing with me and been very patient about it all.
And it's gone well here?
Yeah, super well. We're 9th out of 24 with 6 of the world's top riders in my grade. So I was really happy with it for my first world championship.
Fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic.
And even though I'm not leaving with a gold around my neck, I'm leaving with a horse with a heart of gold, and I'm just so happy with how it all went. And the team in general, the team dynamic has been amazing, and I couldn't have asked for a better first experience.
Interesting, Stefan Peters was in here earlier in the program, and he was saying exactly the same about the US team family, if that isn't a corny thing to say, but and how it's just amazing how everyone is together and works well, and that's why you achieve the results that you do. A lot of it, I think, isn't it? Is the support.
Yeah, definitely, and it doesn't matter which part of the competition they're in. We're all just all getting along and being supportive of each other, which is really special to see from a country.
Nathalie, I was in Herning at the fabulous European Championships in your home country, and I need to ask you about a little ceremony I happened to witness in the main arena, where it was called the retirement ceremony of Digby. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the horse you're riding here looks very, very like him.
Oh, well, it is him. No, what I said last year, that I was going to put him on semi-retirement.
Sure.
Retirement from the team, but still keep on doing a couple of shows this year which are fun and which we want to go to. So we went to Qatar, and he went to Falsterbo, and he was in great form. And then the Danish Federation came up to me and said, Nathalie, would it be possible to have Digby for WEG? And I was thinking a little bit about it, and then I said, okay, the horse is fit. I have said he's semi-retired, but some semi-retired people do come back. But this is the final, definitely final competition.
It is. And once again, you're in the top 15 here. It's, you know, as we often talk about horses being a horse of a lifetime or a dog of a lifetime, whatever. But having him from that early age to yet again, was it your 8th or 9th major champion? This is the 8th.
His 8th championships, yep. And his 3rd world championship.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So he's obviously, you know, he's 17 years old, but he wouldn't be here if he wasn't in the spring of youth, so to speak.
I wouldn't have taken him here if I would have felt that this would be too much for him. No, I'm grateful and really, really happy that I could keep him that fit for all those years. And yes. I can say this now, he's never ever had a major big injury.
Fantastic. So this will be the last time that we see Digby.
This is the final.
Okay.
The year was actually planned slightly different. WEG was not in the plan, and the plan was to take him to Mechelen after Christmas. Yes. And then do the final competition. But as I am pregnant and won't be able to ride in December, this is going to be the last thing.
Well, many congratulations on that. I wasn't aware of that. So, Sydney, we ought to just talk about Journey before we go off air. Obviously the horse is a very important part of everyone's role here. That's what you're here for. But I'd like to just know a little bit more about Journey in terms of what Journey means to you as a person, if you like, as opposed to just being a dog that is obviously very clever in terms of, you know, doing laundry, but as a partnership, as a friend. Tell us a bit about that.
Journey really is my best friend because he gets to go everywhere with me, with the exception of zoos and burn units in a hospital. He goes absolutely everywhere, and even on the worst days where I'm just feeling so discouraged and just really not having a good day. He's always there, and he'll always make me smile. However he needs to do it. And even I've had a couple of incidents where I've been in the hospital, and he actually comes with me, and he curls up on the edge of the hospital bed, and he'll just lay there with me and cuddle with me, and it's a bond like no other, really. He's my first service dog I've ever had, and he really is the dog of a lifetime. Couldn't have asked for a better best friend.
Absolutely fabulous. Well, thank you both very much indeed for joining us today. It's extremely nice to see you. Good luck for the rest of the week, and we look forward to seeing Digby once again this weekend in the Chez. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been very nice to see you. Well, that's the end of Chez Philippe today on day 4 of the Alltech FEI World Equestrian Games. We'll be back tomorrow.